Good evening. Start the video, please. We are live now.
Welcome to this series of webinar, 10 webinars by Smart Habitat Foundation. Smart Habitat Foundation is an excellence for art and architecture and for human settlement initiated by Creative Group and Professor Charanjit Shah. For the last 4 years, we are working on various aspects of art, architecture. We have various debates with students of architecture and teachers of architecture colleges, so that the interface between the practice of architecture and the teaching methodology could be understood. We have various like Indo-Russian conclave, and it's like a global debates by global architects and also allied professionals like PMC, project management consultants, construction management consultants, financial management consultants, quality management consultants, structural engineers, MEP, architecture, plus art and sculpture put together. We have the Vice President, Mr. Dr. R.S.O.D., Gurpreet Shah. We have advisory in terms of more than 400 professionals, including various more than 200 head of the departments of School of Architecture, plus practicing architects, then the green consultants, structural engineers, MEP consultants. All the eminent personalities are participating in giving the advice in terms of creating green Indian sustainable architecture. And these are the glimpse of the various workshops we study. We teach the students for about 15 days in-house, and then they do the publication. So all these things are being done at Smart Habitat Foundation with the help of all my colleagues, architects, friends, and other professionals. Now we clubbed with the ASSOCHAM gems. You see Mr. Pankaj Dharkar, Mr. Hiranandani, Mr. Menon, all are now clubbed together, including the support of ASHRAE, ISHRAE, even FSAI, and all those allied bodies are also coming forward, and we are having a joint platform and now created these 10 webinar discussion on various elements of building industry in terms of creating that sort of an understanding, so that we have the interface between all of them together. These are some of the publications we have made for publication for evolution of steel. We have also done on smart city planning, and that is all what we do. And now we hope for a very large platform with ASSOCHAM and Smart Habitat Foundation to take it further. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, eminent speakers. Myself, Neeraj Arora, Senior Director at ASSOCHAM, would like to welcome you all for this wonderful webinar series. This is the 10th webinar of the series, which is new mindset in revival of green and sustainable construction in India. We have an excellent line of speakers, as we always have. So we have Professor Charanjit Shah, we have Mr. Pankaj Dharkar, Mr. Amit Paul Singh, Mr. URC Devarajan, Mr. Sujit Kumar, Architect Anand Sharma, Architect Sandeep Roy, Architect Kulmeet Shangri. We have with us Architect. So it's a whole list of architects and MEP engineers, those who are going to talk on this wonderful subject today. I would like to share with you this on this 10th webinar, we got the highest registrations, which is 1850 registrations for this webinar, and I'm sure that we will have maximum attendance for this webinar also. So we have broken all our previous records, and thank you so much, Charanjit Shah Saab, Smart Habitat Foundation, entire ASSOCHAM GEM team for doing this wonderful webinar series since the lockdown was started, and this is because of the good line of speakers we always have with us, and so we are fulfilling this today also. So I'll not take much time and would like to invite Professor Charanjit Shah Saab, who is the founder principal of Creative Group, who is the chairman of Smart Habitat Foundation, who has created this entire series of webinars. And he is the we are lucky and we are honored that Charanjit Shah Saab is the senior advisor of ASSOCHAM Jam Green Building Council also. Under his guidance and supervision, we have done wonderful programs. We have got 17,000 viewers for our webinars in last 4.5 months, I must share. And this is definitely a record, definitely a record. So welcome, Professor Charanjit Shah Saab. Welcome to you for your wonderful words, sir.
Thank you, Neeraj. And I am actually indebted, and I am honored to be here with the August speakers here. And it's always been a wonderful, emotional, sentimental, and passionate attachment with all these people who really come across and give their acceptance to be part of the deliberation. So I'm really thankful to all of my speakers here today who have really made it a wonderful attempt. And as has been said by Neeraj ji, that we have such a wonderful registration of more than 1,850. So friends, today's topic, I would be moderating this today, and today's topic is also very sensitive in respect of, let's see what will be the new trends in the real estate management, into the building industry in post COVID. What are the various things which we need to understand. And now with like I would rather put it, what is the new mindset in revival of, even so to say, the green sustainable architecture. Perhaps sometimes during the COVID, we have seen that the sky is blue and there is no pollution. The PM 2.5, PM 10 has gone down even below the normal. What are those things which have really put life into in us, and we are now becoming near to the nature? So fundamentally, we have today is the topic that what are the various trends set, change in the mindset because of the COVID distancing, maybe because of work at home. What we see that in terms of space design, function, and in terms of various other things, application in terms of nearer to the nature, how we see the cross ventilation, how we see that all those quality of airs are being maintained. And in terms of when we talk about work at home, we have to see that where the real estate will play a role now today, when we see that we'll be needing less of like Gurgaon, where it is IT hub, and we see that people started moving to home and they have started working from there. So what is that sort of a demand and supply would be there in terms of retail, commercial, malls, it's like even larger cinema halls and multiplexes, food courts. All these are some of the things we need to address today. And we have very good, a complete, I would say, very panoramic flavor of various experts from northeast, southwest of India. And first of all, I will try to just put in words in terms of what is the flavor of our speakers. First we have Mr. Pankaj Jharkar, whom I call Sardar Pankaj Jharkar, because we had Sardar Patel, and today we are talking that you are the Sardar Jharkar of our group here, who is leading in a very, very, I would say in a very organized manner. So welcome, Mr. Pankaj Jharkar ji, for your visionary approach towards various things put together. And now in case, and you are the chairman of ASSOCHAM Gem, you are the past chairman of international president of FSAI, and also past national president of and many more other flavors which you have in your personality, beside being a MEP consultant. of where you have finished more than, I would say, I do not know, I don't know the number, means endless, countless numbers of projects where you've been trying passive and active ways of sustainability. Today's topic, I would just put you few of my thought in terms of, one is that the vision in which we are going ahead in ASSOCHAM Gems, that needs to be understood by all of us together. And other is what you think probably post-COVID, how are you looking at improving the productivity and profitability of current buildings? And other is that how can architects and MEP consultants come together, make existing buildings more efficient and productive post-COVID? These are some of the interface between the architect and MEP. Plus, I would say that what you possibly see into the functions and also into the intelligent building management systems of tomorrow, where in real estate, what do you think that is the future and new mindset for creating a sustainable and green architecture? So over to Mr. Pankaj Jharkar ji, and I wish that you make a presentation and please put throw light on these subjects. Over to Pankaj ji.
So thank you, Charanjit Singh ji. I think you have been our wonderful leader, visionary person who has taken us to 10th webinar series, and as Neeraj was sharing with us that we have crossed 17,000 mark, and today we are going to make yet another record. That only shows the kind of interest which people have taken and the passion with which you have taken forward this mission. So thank you very much, Charan Singh ji, and I'm really honored today to have such distinguished line of speakers and eminent panelists. It is indeed an honor for me to be here. Sir, the way we are living is going to change for all of us. We need to find out new avenues of business, specifically post-COVID. For some months or a year, probably every one of us have to be innovative, and specifically all professionals, they may be architects, interior designer, or MEP consultants, and people who are in this business of providing equipments, the suppliers for air conditioning system, lighting system, the plumbing system, electrical installation, IBMS, they need to find out new avenues, because we all know that for this 4 months we have not done any physical activity at site. New work is going to come. So I think the biggest area where we as MEP consultants can do some big contribution to create new sustainable green footprint is to come up with good ideas how to retrofit the current building stock. There could be a lot of buildings constructed, a lot of projects happened before 15 years and above, where probably there would not be any LED lights, there would not be any STP plant, there could not be any smart metering system, there could not be any solar PV system, there may not be biogas possibility from waste gas, there could be the IBMS system may not be working, or if at all, currently we can really upgrade that. The air conditioning system may be, the VRV never existed then, but if it was a small project, could be they are operating on non-frozen, ozone-friendly refrigerant, which were probably as inefficient as 1.48 kilowatt per ton, where simple change to VRV could make it possible to go to 0.8 to 0.9 kilowatt per ton, while the chillers which were then available were probably IPLV numbers of 0.48 to 0.50. Currently, we have technologies available for 0.35 kilowatt or lower kilowatt per ton. So there exists a huge possibility. The VFDs were not being used. The indoor air quality was not of that importance in last couple of years. There is a huge awareness, and I think the biggest change in indoor environment is going to come because of quality of filtration and the control over PM 2.5 level. So these are the areas where probably, though consultants would have tried, maybe technologies have got changed in this 15 years. What can we do? I think we need to work with the bankers. Bankers have money, but they are not takers. Probably my industry, the consultants and the fraternity have to come forward and give that confidence. The owner don't want to spend money. They have no money. They want to preserve it for something else. So I think as an industry, we have to come forward, give that confidence to bankers, give that confidence to building owners that, hey, here we can do energy audit. Your current EPI value could be more than 151 to 300. And with this modern upgradation, you are not spending money. We will be doing energy audit. We will be investing this money. We will upgrade your facility. We will ensure that it becomes energy efficient. We will ensure that the EPI level becomes less than 100. You get 30 to 40% energy saving the way you operate. And we can come up with a sharing formula. We are using your building. We upgrade you to latest technologies. We save you money. And here is a banker who is financing it. And if that kind of confidence level can go, I can tell you that this can make a big change, and it will ensure not only the footprints will get converted into eco-friendly and also efficient properties, it will also save them energy cost. Within 3 to 4 years, this investment which is put on for upgradation, without this owner investing a single money, he gets upgradation of air conditioning facilities, lighting system, his water system, his electrical system, everything can get upgraded. And this can be a biggest thing which can happen, and this can bring about immediate business potentials to entire fraternity. And I think we are going to work closely, sir, with you, Charanjit Singh ji, on this. In fact, I am talking to various stakeholders, and we intend to do an exclusive seminar and webinar on this on 18th of July on this in the afternoon. And as we come up with this, we will come back to you, sir. But I think there exists a very huge business and opportunity to turn around these old and sick buildings into energy efficient and green buildings. And that is where probably interior designers, the architects, who can probably think about the shading, which probably could improve their facade, can complement the U values of walls and various other factors which can bring down the envelope loads and can make them efficient. We can think about working with interior designers who could think about the interior plantation which can produce more oxygen and ensure that the filtration level and quality of air can happen. And also innovative way, how do we compartment and make properties infection free, because that is also going to be an important aspect. So a lot can happen with the help of architects, complementing the MEP designs and doing huge upgradation. I think this is the area which we would definitely like to work through ASSOCHAM, sir. So just to update, because in none of the seminar I could get time, I am taking this liberty, sir. 3 minutes, I will like to tell you about what ASSOCHAM is doing on GEM certification. So GEM is Green and Eco-Friendly Movement. We call it GEM Sustainability Certification Program, which comes to us from 400 strong chambers, 4.5 lakhs member. You will ask us why GEM? There are 3 more certifications available, and I always tell people that we are not competing with anyone, but we are complementing the vision of Prime Minister, where after 20 years of hard work, we have only got registration for 6,500 buildings, and only 2,500 plus buildings are certified, completed, commissioned buildings for green footprint. So we feel that with 4.5 lakhs members of ASSOCHAM, we can bring that change. Even if 10 to 15% gets awareness, this can turn around the entire country. We are blessed with Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani as our president, Vinit Agarwal ji as managing director. By the way, Niranjan ji is from this industry, our built environment. He is doing phenomenal work. in Western India. Mr. Goenka is our immediate past president. We do get his excellent support, along with a dynamic Secretary General of ASSOCHAM, Deepak Sood, whose support is always there for GEM, and that is how we are able to do all these programs. So ASSOCHAM has taken this green initiative to care for Mother Earth, and we want to enhance this sustainability program. Our program is very, very simple, very, very transparent, and it is the guides. I would urge all the delegates to go through them. They are completely based on ECBC 2017 and NBC 2016. I do believe these are two wonderful documents India has given to globe, and our entire effort is to promote these two beautiful documents, which will make this a compliment from us to the nation. So the program includes sustainability, energy, water efficiency. This is the only global program which addresses fire and life safety. We believe that the project could be energy efficient, but it has to be fire and life safety wise safe. More green areas, indoor air quality, daylight, fresh air, and human comfort is something which we are highlighting. Our rating system starts from JM1 to JM5, the JM1 being the lowest and JM5 being the highest, and it addresses all the most of the areas. We are just taking out healthcare and the warehousing as two documents which will soon be available with you. Our program is very, very affordable. It is a great recognition of Indian buildings. We do believe that all certified buildings will give you a payback of less than 3 to 4 years. This is the only program which ensures that the certification is not left to the documentation stage, but we are controlling 24/7 from our command center in Delhi all the data related to energy consumption, water consumption, and indoor air quality, so as to give that support, and that we want to do in 15,000 or less amount, so that we create a data. Currently, all certified buildings, we do not have data. Very limited buildings have that possibility, but we will like to create this data, which will ensure that future generation can work on research and create more innovative buildings. We have MOUs with ISHRE, FSAI, IAQA, ASHRE, GACS, and of course, today we are here with Smart Habitat Foundation, which we are indeed proud of. We do issue certification with plans, and we have an excellent program on GEM sustainability certification. We are giving special offers during this COVID time because this is all done online. We promote that even with books. With you can apply for this certification. This is a 90-minute good program test. Currently, we have multiple projects across the country, including pharma giant like Abbott to Siemens to JK Cement. You can see a ITC Hotel, Doubletree Hilton Hotel, and multiple universities. We did number of projects, programs last 1 year, but the highlight becomes the digital programs which we started with recently. We started with Chandigarh chapter installation, Rajasthan, Gujarat, UP, West Bengal. Our honorable minister was there from urban development, and in very near future, within few weeks, we will be present all these places. We have done programs with 3,000 plus attendees and various digital program, as Neeraj was mentioning to me, and we are coming up with few more important programs. In fact, tomorrow's program at 11 a.m. has got 10,000 plus registration, which is specially being done for students for new mindset in revival of green and sustainable construction in India, and also employability of post-COVID era, industry expectation versus education system preparedness. This is something which is going to happen tomorrow. We have signed multiple MOUs in last few days, one being in Jalgaon, UP. 7 of them are already signed, 5 planned in next week. So we want young engineers and architects to understand sustainability by core of their heart. This is our centenary year. This was beginning of January when Prime Minister Modi himself came with number of ministers and blessed our occasion, and we do believe to take forward Prime Minister please to convert this country into green and environmental sustainable country. So thank you again, Charanjit Singh ji, for giving me this opportunity to speak about ASSOCHAM program also. Thank you.
Thank you, Pankaj. I think you have really summed up many things put together and given a new insight of very integrated and collaborative approach and converting like sick buildings into real sustainable and green buildings. And you also touched upon ECBC code and NBC 2016. They are definitely the Bibles for any planner, architect, or any practitioner architect and consultant. So, I mean, I will now look upon, you have touched many other issues also in terms of function, values, and, really creating that sort of architecture which is related to post-COVID. We have now one of very young, dynamic real estate player, I would say, Mr. Amit Pal Singh, who has sort of his father started the building construction, or I would say into architecture and holistic approach towards how the development of any project can take place, and then got converted to his architectural ability into real estate management plus execution of large luxury housing and flats. And probably for the last 70 years, they are into practice. Mr. D.S. Paul is his father, and Amit is taken it over from and now looking into various projects which are very sensitive, and particularly in Delhi. I would say that you're and also you are into the hotel industry and luxury apartments. So I would just request you to please let us know what do you think are the real estate challenges in the Delhi NCR region post-COVID, one, and other is how do you relate commercial real estate versus residential real estate, and what is I would say a safer bet as on today. So over to Amitji for your expert opinions and deliberations. Amitji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shah Saab. Thank you very much. First of all, I must thank Shah Saab for calling me on this wonderful platform. And amongst all you wonderful and highly educated and highly renowned architects and very big players of this construction and real estate development industry. And Shah Saab, we all know that you have got such dynamic and such pleasing personality and leadership quality that we are all very fond of you, and we all want to follow you and to your great footsteps. So, I mean, the question that you have asked me is a very profound question, and a lot of small players, big players, a lot of people who have their investment into property market. So they are all very keen to know what is going to be happening post-COVID, because COVID is something that nobody ever expected. It was a pandemic that nobody ever saw, apart from, I think, Bill Gates. 5 years back, he said in a speech that maybe some pandemic may kind of happen. But we in India, we didn't know about this thing, and suddenly we find ourselves in such a bizarre scenario. Anyway, let me just, whatever my little experience that I have in my building profession line and into my service apartment line, let me just share a few things with you. What basically I feel is, like we have this thing in our time frame, like we have something like BC and AD. So even this COVID era will be known as pre-COVID and post-COVID era. And we have all seen the COVID era now. We are going through the COVID era now, and hopefully things will get better. But post-COVID, the post-COVID is something that everybody is really talking about. So one very good thing that has happened. I mean, we are all talking about the negative things that are happening in the businesses and all the negative things that are happening to the hospitality industry and many other industries. But there is something very good that has happened into the real estate housing sector, is that after this lockdown, which nobody ever imagined that there will be ever kind of such a huge and a big lockdown will ever happen in this country or in the world. So, and people were locked down in their homes or their respective places or in their apartments or in their DDA flats or in their other places. That people have really come to know what is the value of good living. So they want to have better apartments. They want to have better places to live in. They want to have more luxurious living. And recently, I saw and I spoke to many people who had purchased apartments from us like 10 years back or maybe 15 years back, and they are again calling us to actually buy more apartments because the family has gone bigger, which they never expected or they never saw that this thing is actually happening. And they started calling me and they are asking for finished flats which are ready apartments, and they're bigger apartments and having much more car parking, having independent lifts, having some kind of a gymnasium in the building. All these things are happening. So the next thing I want to say to you is that this post-COVID thing, whatever the customer that there is in the market, people are not interested to buy anything which is under construction. They want something which is ready. And we as builders, we as the people who are working in the real estate line, normally we are betting upon those people who would like to give us some advance money so that we can construct floors for them or actually apartments from them. But I think that thing is gone because people know that there is, the migrant labor has shifted away from Delhi, has shifted away from NCR. We are not able to even get the proper cement to our sites. It is taking us 1 week to get the cement in. It is actually so the labor problem is there, the finance problem is there, but the buyer is still there with the money, and they want something which is cheap, which is actually readily available. And then the government is also playing a very important part in this sector, because the government is giving us cheaper actually housing loans. The housing loan, let's say from a bank, is ranging between 6.25 to 7.25%, which was never like this in the market. 6.25% is something very, very close to the European sector market. So a lot of people who have been wanting to buy good properties or apartments for themselves, so they are now willing to shell out that money, and they're coming to buy the finished apartment. And also, what I've noticed that many young players, hardly 35 to 36 years old, people are coming to me and they are wanting to buy luxurious apartments in South Delhi, which was never ever the case. The people who were usually between 45 to 65, they were the ones who had the money, they were the ones who had the savings, they were the ones who actually filled the bracket of getting a housing loan, and they were the ones who were coming in. But now there are actually many young players who are or young people who are selling their old financial assets, or they are liquidating their financial assets because the mutual fund market or the other share market is not going proper. So they are wanting to buy something more better for their family, and they're wanting to come to a better state of living. And as a real estate developer or a person who's into the real estate luxurious line, there are actually many changes that I would like to see in my buildings now. Now if I'll be making a 5-bedroom apartment, I don't want to have entirely a 5-bedroom apartment. I would like to have 1 bedroom, which is kind of totally allocated to just having a kind of a small gym in the apartment, or a kind of a activity center in the apartment where the whole of the family can meet, or they can play together, or they can be together. Because this lockdown has actually shown that this thing is actually possible, and people will be or can be locked out from their work, and they have to work from home, and they can work on the net, they can work on the internet, and they can suffice their needs. But if they have to be living in a 2,500 square feet of space or 2,000 square feet of space, so how can they live happily, and they can live in a more lavishly living place? Then I was also thinking that if let's say I'm making a building in South Delhi, and I'm making a building where I've got 4 floors, so why not to put 1 lift for each flat? and also how to make like the entry to the building, which is totally sterile, so that you don't even have to touch the gate, you don't even have to touch the lift. You just come in and everything is operated through the mobile phone. And before you enter into the flat, like the AC machine, the VRV machine is totally working, like the kitchen is working, the lights are on, the water is heated, everything, so all these things are going to be now we have to plan the building in such a way, and I'm sure that all you architects are also thinking about the same things. And of course the cost is going to go up, but all these things have to be there in the building. And then the main thing that I've noticed is that the commercial sector has a very bad hit, because many of the big international business houses, like you talk about Chanel, you talk about Hermes, which are the biggest houses, you talk about Louis Vuitton, you talk about Rolex, you talk about AP, all these houses have stopped the production. Even if I was reading an ad of this car, Mercedes people, and they're trying to give a total sterile car to people, which is untouched. So all these things, are actually coming into play. And all these firms have also stopped the production. Why? Because the retail is low, because the people are not coming to the shops, people are not coming to the malls to actually buy anything. So the production has to go low. And so, it's a very kind of a bizarre scenario. People are more on the buying of their actually needs on the online thing. Like they want to buy the clothes on the online, they want to buy their things totally on the online. So the culture that we used to have, like we used to go to the movies to a theater on the weekend, we used to go out for restaurants. All this culture is going to be changing, and all these things are going to be getting more and more expensive, because all these people, the people who own the theaters, the people who own the restaurants, a lot more investment is going to be putting in, so that the people can be called in, because they have to feel safe in an environment. Like if you're having a restaurant which is having like 100 people, maybe the figure is reduced to 50 people, and more of spacing is there, the more of waiters are there, and all these things are going to be induced, and the things are going to be much more expensive. And what more can I say? I'm sorry, I'm just all this economy which has kind of halted for the past 4 months or for the past 3 months, I think it is going to be taking 7 to 8 months before it can come to a proper level. And maybe the vaccine, if it comes in 2 or 3 months, then only the economy will be coming through. So we are not going to be seeing a lot of investment into the commercial sector. In fact, people are scared to go to the mall. People are scared to go to a shop. People are always wearing masks, and that glamour quotient. Why does a person go to a mall? Why does a person go to a restaurant? Because because people would like to, people want to dress up nicely. People want to take out their families. People want to meet people, and the whole of that thing about the social distancing has come into being. People don't want to touch each other. People don't want to shake hands. People are hesitate to even check checks. Like if you have to make a payment to the American Express people or to the Citibank people, they are not even taking checks. So everything is changing. So I don't think that there is much of a growth into the commercial sector, because all these big brands are closing down the operations. But the housing sector, I think, is going to be surging ahead with the demand, and the government is also wanting that people should be buying more and more of housing, and more of the affordable housing, which is actually coming through. I think that is going to be a real game player. But the people like us who are selling the apartments into the who are making the luxurious apartments in like South Delhi, they have to really pitch in more money, and they have to drop down the profits if they have to sell the stuff. And nothing is going to be sold which is going to be under construction. You need to finish the thing, and then only the thing will be sold. And why am I talking like this? Why? Because I know, because my fellow Indian people, I mean my countrymen, they are really into the savings, because the people save a lot. And once when they save a lot and you show them that you have made something good, they are actually ready to spend the money. But they are not ready to buy your dreams, but they are ready to buy something which is right there in front of their eyes. So this is actually what I feel that the market is going to be changing. And for developers like us, again, we are not going to be banking on the customers to actually finance our projects. We have to be banking either upon the IPOs or upon the banks or our own money. Then only maybe we do lesser projects and we do better projects and more luxurious projects, so that we can achieve our break even, or we can achieve the profit. And a whole new concept of living is going to be coming through. People are getting more and more what do you say, hygienic. In fact, the labor that I'm having on my sites also, after every 2 hours they're actually washing their hands, they're actually sanitizing themselves. So all these things, that the government has taught us in the lockdown. So the Indian people are going to be more hygienic. They'll be more into this awareness of.
Thank you, Amitji. I would request. You have really put us into the various insight on various things put together, and I am very happy that you have been very positive note that in the luxury apartments there is a lot of demand, and the only thing is that cash flow has to be there, and of course with the cash flow, and the technology has to play a role. And very nicely communicated that we need something which is absolutely digital, and the technology has to be very vibrant. So now I would rather, it's a mix of flavor. You are into the luxury housing and flats, and my friend Mr. URC, Mr. Devarajan, he's the managing director of URC Construction from Erode, and I'm very honored to have him here because he's like brother to me, and we've been associated on various projects for 20 odd years, more than 20 odd years. And I would just say that how the integrated approach within the contractor, architect, and the owner can create a marvel. So that is what one of our very dynamic project was, Romance in Construction. That was Amudham Dairy, where we were absolutely in exposed concrete and did a lot of very fascinating structure there. So just to take it further, he is into construction. I know the challenges are now the magnitude of challenges in terms of finance, in terms of labor, in terms of human resources. I'm just particularly on construction, not I'm taking an angle of real estate. Now, what do you feel that the trends in the new construction of various projects would be there, where you would like to have some sort of a help from government, and in terms of what I say is creating new horizon and proposals in projects. Like you have mentioned that large information technological parks, facilities, how they can be small towns by themselves. Can we think of creating urban infrastructure in rural areas, so that as migrant labor is being shifted, why not create a job for the migrant laborers and other workers near to their homes and villages? So what is the intake? How we can think of that instead of putting more pressure onto the bigger cities, how that shift can be there and the epicenter is changed. So one of these questions, I think you need to make us understand. Other is what do you think the parameters into creating smart cities, maybe smaller or bigger, which the government needs to initiate upon? So welcome, Mr. Devarajan ji, and over to you now, and please highlight on these issues.
Good evening, the friends from the panel, and good evening to all the listeners. It's a great opportunity for a person representing from south of India, and I thank ASSOCHAM and Professor Shah, who is a great friend and a guide to me. and we have enjoyed a fantastic working relationship and brotherhood. In this situation, I personally feel philosophically the mindset has to be stable and strong. We need to think of inclusive and effective growth. How do we work, all of us work together to create a better India? All the great architects and designers and experts in the MEP are there. I come from a smaller town where Erode is a smart city by itself. It is only a population of only 6 lakhs. But even we are a smart city, we have the greatest benefit because with this 1,000 crore, a lot of wonderful things are happening in our town. And I'm an independent director in the smart city also. But my thought is none of the cities, none of the 100 declared smart cities have any master plan like an economically sound city with all business opportunities. It is not there in the smart city planning. Most of the activities are happening on creating new infrastructure. Most of them are buildings or facilities, but there is very less thought on how it can be created as a livable, sustainable city. So my thought is like the planners, like all of you are sitting in the headquarters where all these things are being generated and given to the country. There can be like when we are talking about GEM, green certification and all these things, all these smart cities can be supported, enabled and helped to create a master plan for themselves, or some help can be given so that these cities can be a sustainable city. Why a person wants to move from a smaller town or a rural place seeking some opportunity or job or some revenue creating opportunities, they think that is available only in larger city, but they end up in a mess and they suffer, but they have no other go. So that is the kind of situation we are in. But as a country, like our country still depends on the rural area for many things. I personally believe that the rural India can be built as a very strong infrastructure facility place where all these things can happen in a smart city. Number two, the larger facilities like companies like Intel or IBM, when they have all the resources and their professionals are working in a closed environment, very less need for them to contact with the society because they may be doing research kind of activity. So such large facilities can be encouraged to move to the nearby rural area. They can have their other support in the larger city, but most of the people who are working will feel very happy to work in a rural environment because the life will be good. They will have other recreation and relaxation. So sustainable means it has to be there for longer years, not only by technology, but by the lifestyle changes also. The sustainability can be improved across the country. We see a lot of things are happening during this pandemic, but I personally believe, like any other pandemic, the other situation in the past history of the world, this will go away. This is a passing time, maybe 6 months, maybe 4 months, but all of us will forget this and move to our own model of working again. In that situation, our mindset should be to create inclusive facility, keeping in mind the rural India, and how do we spread this economic activity across India may help India to grow better, because there are a lot of top class people are there in this panel itself, where you can influence the policy makers to think in that direction. Like our former president Abdul Kalam said, the rural India has to become a strong facilitator for all these things. The railway stations are being modernized and airports are being modernized. So anything can happen. See, I am one in believing the branding of a place branding. So I am sitting in a place where I never feel we are working in 11 states across India. We never felt we are deprived of anything. It's a smaller town, but we can operate across India by the connectivity which is being given and the technology is there. So my thought is like that. Thank you for the opportunity and let this forum bring out some kind of a consensus and some kind of a direction for a greater and sustainable India. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Devarajanji. Thank you very much for, absolutely correct. And I think we need to understand, yes, Mr. Sujit Kumar is the clapping, and I think it's a good attempt. And we need to see into how the rural India is made more progressive. And not that we always talk about, okay, the urban population will be 50% or 60% going up. Why not create some sort of a vision and a master plan where we think that the urbanization should be curtailed and we go back to nature and back to the villages and back to our roots. That's very, very nicely taken up. And now I would, we have very eminent architect, planner, and a visionary personality, architect Anand Sharma, and who has an experience of going through many larger infrastructure projects, maybe like Guwahati International Airport, metro, skywalks, many more like TODs, transit-oriented hubs, into infrastructure as well as into housing sector and into retail and other flavor projects. So, you're being an expert as partners in DFI, and DFI is like, I would say, international player. And what is your take that you see that there are opportunities? Do you think that why do you think that the COVID is an opportunity to tackle urban congestion? How do you take that? How the COVID is a opportunity or a challenge to create some sort of a sustainable architecture which perhaps is missing in our towns? And other, I would say that what needs to change in entry protocols and indoor navigation within the built space post-COVID. So over to you, Mr. Anand Sharma, and just highlight on these issues, plus the scenario, the mindset which needs to be there in terms of creating new infra, into the real estate management. Over to Mr. Anand Sharma.
Thank you, Professor Shah Saab.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody else. Elite panel over there, and I'm really honored to be a part of this August gathering. And equally honored for all the listeners who are not visible, but who are taking time out to hear all of us today for whatever our opinions are worth, more or less. So without much further ado, I think one thing that this pandemic has taught us all in great measures is a new word called social distancing. Right? Before this came, I don't think anybody had heard of this phrase ever before. But one thing all of us were very, very subconsciously aware of, the concept of allocating and thinking of how many people per unit area was only limited to books, largely, and very sparingly used in real urban planning. For instance, even at a mindset level, you are in India, you are standing in a queue. The amount of social distance that one would have before COVID, when you go to a Western country and see the amount of distance people like to keep between themselves, we had, in short, no concept of social distancing, so to speak. One. Secondly, we all are fortunate to have to be inhabitants of an extremely large and extremely able country overall, and not just this country, globally. Gandhi would say, there is enough on this world for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. There is enough for everybody. We are full of space. But what has actually happened overall is that we have clamped everybody into smaller spaces. People have migrated from villages and smaller towns to mid-level towns, to capitals of those states, and from those capital of those states to metropolitans. And everywhere there is a rush to get into the nerve center, the activity center, like Devarajan Saab was pointing out earlier. We are sitting in headquarters, so to speak. It's unfortunate, right? So it was a lot of power getting sort of consolidated into the hands of too few, into places of too much importance, which really is not the right way to approach holistic planning overall. So I think there is a very interesting Chinese saying which goes like, "May you live in interesting times." Some people call it a blessing, some people call it a curse, but there has not been in human history or human memory a more interesting time than what we are going through right now. Nobody had anticipated this, not in our wildest dreams, to be honest. But here is an opportunity, because behind every crisis, there is always an opportunity. So I would talk about trying to de-densify, or to, so to speak, rarefy uh, in spaces, urban spaces, by way and strong intervention of technology, as to how we should take this as an opportunity to bring technology into play and create our built environments in amalgamation with the technologies of digitization that are available to us, so that people spend navigating buildings the least time that they have to reach from the point of entry to the point of eventual occupancy or eventual occupation that they have come for. For instance, if you have come to go to the office of Shell Corporation in Cyber City, Gurgaon, from the point of uh, from the point you have entered building tower number 8A, B, or C, to the point on 17th floor that you are eventually landing up at Shell Corporation, it is possible to navigate without having to jostle with people in the security lines, having to jostle with people in the lift lobbies, having to jostle with people uh, in the lifts. Dubai, so first within the build space level, Dubai, I think about 5 years ago, mandated that the building plans are not submitted in two-dimensional drawings, but in three-dimensional Revit models. Right. So you don't submit 2D building drawings, you don't submit plans, you submit a model, and they approve a model. Now we have the technology available. As DFI, we've been fortunate to be building the first airport being done by the Government of India Airport Authority, Guwahati Airport, where we are actually delivering the entire GFCs using Revit for the first time ever. And the project is under construction. And the amount of value that it has brought to the project is immense. Now imagine you had a building, you have a building for which the building plans at the submission stage itself go as 3D models. And once it gets approved, it becomes a public document. Okay. In a public document, all the means of entry and egress are marked. All the corridors, the public corridors are marked. The lift locations are marked. The escalators are marked. The staircases are marked. And all that is available on a live 3D model, much like in indoor Google Maps of a large building. So you are within a building, and within that building, you don't have to uh, ask, you don't have to look around, You don't have to look for signage. You know where you are going. Then there is a very, very simple thing available. I'm sure Dharkar Saab is already working on that. IoT sensors. So we are integrating IoT sensors with BIM-enabled indoor systems, occupancy sensors, indoor air quality sensors. Right at the entry of the building, I should know how much time is it going to be required for me to go from here to the security check. Post security check, which lift should I go to? Where should I wait in an empty room? Which lift should I take? And once you enter a lift, it doesn't have to be a button operated if there are ways to do a touch free. So you have done touch free, you have done the least traffic route, and you have navigated without mingling with a lot of crowd, minimum crowd that is possible. You navigate with it and you reach your final destination in that building. So going further, the same technology is going to be very useful in times of emergencies, in times of contingencies, to guide you to the closest staircase, guide you to the closest fire escape, guide you to the closest and safest way to get out of the building. So I think going forward, the era is going to be putting everything in a public building, in the public domain,
Yes.
governing it
Thank you.
with models, governing with
Right.
IoT.
Okay, then, Anandji, thank you very much for the insight onto how we'll be able to operate things in the post-COVID. And I'm just running a little short of time, so I thought, when we have one of the very eminent architect, Dr. Sujit Kumar. Mr. Devarajan said that I am from South India, but Sujit, I don't think that though you are brought up in Kerala and now practicing in Bangalore, studied in north part of India, and married to a Punjabi girl. All that is you are a person, I would say, holistic Indian. Okay, Dr. Sujit, if I am not mistaken, and a person, I think one of the youngest person who did his PhD, and that too at the age of 26 years, and he is a passionate architect, looking into nature, looking into many more things put together, won many awards, international awards, and I would just put you through, because you are one who is going to showcase, I would say that with your experiencing how the real green and sustainable things come in. And can you just elaborate upon, as I've been deliberating with you many a times, the local materials, the dimension of spaces, and particularly the community spaces, and all that, and particularly putting soul into architecture. So your concept of putting soul into architecture in terms of design elements, passive, I'm not talking about active. How do you react to that? And you please, now it's time for you to make your presentation and also give your thought. Dr. Sujit Kumar.
Thank you, Professor Chit. Thank you for all these speakers and all those who are watching this. Fundamentally, I wanted to question this whole idea of what is called a new mindset to thinking. So for me, I thought let's just run through what we have done till now. I mean, it's a long story. It's a 40,000-year-old story, but I will just cut short into a 4-minute clip for us to actually rethink on the directions that we do. Maybe like, though we do a lot of work with tech and high tech and eco spaces, what I wanted to ask you that when we talk about cities, we talk about its functionality, its urban transport systems, the pressure on the nodes, etc. But we don't talk about livable cities. And this particular talk, as Professor said, should revolve around how do we make better places happen. There are two major studies that happen about, I've been doing this about 10 years now, featuring and factoring cities across. And what is interesting is that there is a Maury Memorial Foundation's Global Power City Competitiveness, which rates London, New York, Paris, Tokyo. It goes on like that. And there is no Indian city in that, mind you, in the top 20 cities. There is no Indian city. It's very interesting to note that whichever cities we talk about, finally, those cities somehow have a character to themselves, which is unique to the place, unique to the climate and the people. When you look at the bottom 20, fortunately, maybe unfortunately, we have one, Bombay, coming there in the 20 global ranking of cities from the bottom, the worst cities. And that is nothing to celebrate, mind you. So you need to think about why we are here and what we did. The Global Power City Index says these are the 40 good cities when it comes to taking economy, R&D, cultural interaction, livability, etc. And you will see that Bombay is there somewhere at the 39th point. These are statistics seen from the eyes of the Western world, mind you. And I'm a pure Indian at heart, always been here, going to be here. If you see the paradigm that I studied between 2010 and 15, cities which are the magnets, we all wanted to go to the US, wanted to go to France, wanted to go to UK, see these big cities. All these cities, the livability factors are decreasing. And cities which are back of the hinterland cities are better when it comes to the livability score. India, fortunately, does not fall into either of this because we are on a different trip altogether. And I want to come back to this point, why we are a different set of people and why the yardstick of global measurements and global development may not apply to us. Between the demography, education, safety, housing options, and economic plan development, health and medical, we studied various cities across, and in multiple kinds of indexes, we found that Chennai, Bombay, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Nagpur, big cities win because all parameters measure in terms of economic viability. Maybe that is not the factor to study. Look at the bottom cities, and this is very surprising because I love Amritsar. You go to the Golden Tour, it's a great place to live. Many of this indices which is developed by the Western world to look at city and how it performs would put Amritsar at the lowest. In 2012, Mysore was the worst city in a staggering 50 cities studied. And those who have been in Mysore, I mean, URC would agree, though he comes from Europe, it's a fantastic and an easily livable city. There's something wrong by which we look at cities, we look at living spaces, we look at urban development, urban planning, master planning. URC rightly said, we have I'll come to the smart city part, but let me just quickly take up. In the global ranking, some of our cities in quality of life, the Mercer particularly, which is a very appropriate rating system, which takes quality of life and the livability index as top 10. Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, Bombay, New Delhi, Kolkata. Here also you're missing the point that something in our way of looking does not fit in. I just quickly ran through, see the ancient India about 5,000 years ago. You had a great city. I mean, we only say great because we have got some remnants in Lothal and Kathal and in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and we dug it up and said, oh, this was a beautifully developed city. Mind you, these are only vestiges that have stayed the test of time. There are much more happening which is not recorded in demographic history. It doesn't leave its footprints on the sands of time. From that ancient India to a modern India, now I don't know which one is a more developed living setup, 5,000 years back or this. And like Anand just now said, social distancing is the new norm. But tell me, in a city that is designed or grew out to be something like this organically or by lack of choice of other alternatives, if this is the kind of cities we have created, and in terms of population, you'll be surprised that we are all the 33 countries of Europe put together, plus the America put together, plus the Russia put together, we still beat them cumulatively. And we're just about 1/4, a little less than 1/4 the land of US. So how do you take India, its people, its development, and fit it onto a very myopic view of rating us, rating dwellings, rating systems? So I just said, look at anywhere. You see people on the roads generally happy, hugging each other. Like somebody else mentioned that the proximity factor, our people-to-people distance is very less. We don't mind stepping on other people's foot. We don't mind shoving a guy into the. I mean, it's just we are uncouth people. I mean, I'm accepting the fact that civility and decency norms that the European world or the Western world looks at is not a part of a system. The virus, a small RNA, one particle, changed all that. Now we are forced to maintain distances, cover ourselves, not shake hands, not come together. But I just thought that it's very pertinent at this stage to say, what are we? It's we, when I say a human being, one human being, we are 1.6 trillion human cells with 6.8 trillion bacteria and 6.1 trillion viruses, not fighting with each other, but living in a symbiotic harmony, peace to each other. When something goes wrong, there's disturbances, there's cancer, there's diseases, there's lots of other things. Look at the way we have evolved across, whatever be the tribe, the pygmies of the African continent, various different tribes across, how they enjoy the outdoor, how they live together. These people never left a Qutub Minar or never left a Mohenjo-daro for 50,000 years later, somebody to say how they live. It's a continuous monument where life itself is a monument and there is no building to capture this. As people go by, there are small shacks in sub-Saharan Africa, even in our own hinterland in Orissa and many such places, where a lot of people who come from outside think, oh, these are poor people, let's do something for them, and they intervene into the ecosystem to bring in some amount of sanity, what they understand. But life has gone on with race to race, various tribes in India. I mean, you can list about 142 tribes which still live absolutely unaware of the fact that some 10,000 years have passed and the world has changed. And like Anand said, you have got apps that can lead you to the nearest lift, which should take you to all that complexity. There is simple living in the hinterlands. Somewhere along, we have lost that idea of connecting to nature. Because finally, in these last 3 months, what we realized that we don't celebrate nature. We celebrate achievements, we celebrate our products, we celebrate things that we build, we sell, we make money out of, and we're very proud in that whole journey of civilizational growth. I wouldn't call it economic growth, but somewhere in that, the civilizational growth has completely stopped. If you look at the amount of innovations that happened when we had nothing, with the innovations that we do today, our innovation is in a very different area. Our understanding of nature, of why the earth is tilted and why it is summer when the earth is farthest from the sun and winter when it is closer to the sun in the northern hemisphere. We don't understand, we don't look at them. Well, many years ago, the belt of Orion was mapped into doing the pyramids. We studied the honeycomb architecture of the honeybees and how beautifully a 120-degree mass is packed in to ensure that you get the maximum volume of occupational space with minimum built-up matter. Your termites living across.
I'll interrupt. Can you just finish in 1 minute, because we have another 2 speakers yet, and it's already 18:17. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I put a stopwatch now 5 minutes. Okay. So like we have started killing animals, we have started cutting down whatever we have, but across the world, you will see that we have found God in everything around us. But what has happened is a big change. Suddenly institutionalized religion has come up and God shifted to heaven. Our approach to buildings, our approach to everything we consume change, scale change, masses change, people change, our thinking change. So what mattered most was nature at one time, divine in its own thing, our understanding of that slowly morphed into exploitation of people, of resources, of things around. We stopped respecting those resources that we build with. So today the question comes that a new mindset to understand this. If you look at the cultures, those cultures that have been stagnant, which have been resplendent, which has been opulent, have built happiness. They might not have built progress in the modern sense, but they built happiness. The people there are happy. The people live in happiness, be it an Eskimo or be it a Greek guy. Their economy must be down in doldrums. There's happiness to what they did. What we did as we built various kinds of cities, whether it's a grid cities, circular cities, radial cities, we came to a desired pattern and then we stopped somewhere and we started filling it up so much that our resources got stressed. Today, it's a legislation that designs cities. It is not the one. And the largest Indian change which happened is like the smart city, which our friend Mr. URC just said. It's a policy-driven growth. Suddenly, a policy has come and we are changing. We are changing from a city to a smart city. And this is an example of the Amravati. Now, I don't see anything which makes it different from the Barcelona smart city or the Masdar or any of the smart cities we are planning. Whereas our idea of building with nature, building with what is unique to us, which is special, which cannot be replicated by anybody else in the world, which is a dying art. I call this the modern day dinosaur. Soon will disappear. What has happened is every society creates its follies and celebrates its greatness. A new mindset or old, I do not know, but it's necessary to revive a green and sustainable construction in India. It has to begin at the policy. We must begin with frugal innovations. We must do what is good for us. We must put our mind. We are a mighty panel. I'm very impressed by this panel. It's a great set of people. A small bird can build so well for itself. It's one second time to learn from nature and build beautifully. Because what we thought was in abundance is just a matter of time. In my 30 years, I have seen resources around me dry out and everything change. Many places like Fatehpur Sikri is a classic example of how things went wrong because some natural resource dried out. It was never there. So let's get to the basics. And friends, my purpose of this would be rather to say, we can't individually make a change. It's time to come and dream together because the new normal demands that everything we have done, somewhere or the other, has led us to this. We have done good things. We've done tremendous amount of good things. But the future opportunity is to rethink. Houses won't be houses anymore because houses would have to be facilities to work from home. Technology will not merely be imposed.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. It's so interesting and so exhaustively expressed, and perhaps it should go into our nerves as Indians. And you practice onto this, the architect who's practicing from Bangalore, the art of designing with climate and nature. That's in your blood, that's in your DNA. And I appreciate, I think we need to take it further so that we really create cities for ourselves and not for others to live in. So I have sort of time, we'll deliberate on the issues more, but now I have a very, we have another real estate big player here in North India. It's like Advanced India Project Limited, and they have very fantastically good jobs, big works in real estate, in retail, housing, commercial, all those things they are putting up here. And Mr. Daljit Singh is the managing director. Unfortunately, he had to go somewhere else, but his head design architect Sandeep Roy is here, who is a master's in building engineering management from SPA, a gold medalist. He's handled large projects all over, and what I could see from him is that he's talking about in management in terms of real estate, like design, planning, execution, human resources, time management, quality management, cost management. All these things are being taken care of by you as a real estate player. And what do you think is the change which perhaps due to COVID-19 or working at home, the demand and supply analysis after COVID? What are the specific challenges with current green building regulations and for a developer, what are the challenges, and what do you opt, green building versus commercial sense? In a sense that if suppose you are up to create a green building and you show, oh, it's commercially not viable and it is have to expend more. So these are some of the things which I would request architect Sandeep Roy, who is the project management and head of design at Advanced India Project Limited. Over to you, and we are just short of time, so please let's be short as much as possible. Thank you very much. Welcome. Sandeep, over to you.
So I hope I'm audible now. So thank you, Professor Shah, and good evening to all the viewers. I intend to keep it very, very short. Trust me, that's the idea to start with. I'll bring in a little perspective of an architect. I mean, personally, I have more than 25 years. I have been on the consultancy side of the profession, and very recently, I've been working with a developer. But that just opened up a few questions, and one of them I'll bring on board here. And looking at the topic, it was a question whether green building was relevant to the developers, or does it work commercially? I mean, those questions are right now completely moot for us. One of the master strokes, we keep on hearing this term quite often these days, has been to provide incentives, maybe for like the FAR, additional FAR that we get. So all those have made it completely feasible for all developers to opt. At least we work in A+ category commercial buildings, and it just makes sense, obviously, to do a green building. The debate we are having now is, does that change, or does that affect, or is it affected by the current situation of COVID? I will not try to speculate, or I will not try to give a very large, broad overview or spectrum or vision. I'm not a visionary or anything. I'm a very small person, and I will keep today's. I will bring on table today to this panel and to the viewers one very critical problem and one possible solution of that for everybody to think about. So the point is, we keep on, I have been hearing, obviously we all have been hearing that life is going to change and life is going to be different, etc. Obviously, COVID has been a very, very unprecedented situation. We have not faced this ever in my 50+ years of life. I mean, the nearest that probably comes to is HIV about 35 years back when it came in, and we were all scared. But all that happened was that we took some protective measures. That has become naturalized now, and we are back to life as usual. So I will not speculate whether life is going to change. I will not. I will simply put in one problem that we at a developer's end have been speculating on how to solve that. And let me use the word, Anand used that term also in a little different context. I will use the term density. The problem that we are facing today in our company, for example, with about 20 lakh square feet of operational commercial space, is some buildings which have been designed for a density of, let's give a number, 100 square feet per person, is now 100 square meter per square feet per person, is now being operated at 1/3 of that density. Mr. Dharkar had mentioned in his talk about many technical solutions. Our problem is, on one side, the existing buildings, but there is also about 50 lakh square feet of buildings which we have under design or under construction. Mr. Anand is also involved with a big chunk of them. And what we are debating today is that we don't know whether the density or the population we are designing for today will be applicable or will be there in the next 6 months. It may be there. I mean, we might solve the problem. One vaccine in a year and a medicine in the next 6 months, and we have solved our problem, and we are back to the high density buildings. But the question I'm putting on here is that since we are not not into the business of speculation, but in the business of being practical, how do we keep on stepping up this density problem that developer, where we were designing parking for at a density of 50, now we will probably have, and we already have in our existing building, 2/3 of the parking spaces are vacant because people are not coming to office. Can we put that in some way? So the problem is, how do we address this density step up issue in our current and ongoing buildings? And I would request Mr. Dharkar being here, Anand also being here, is that please give it a thought. It's not just the technology, a clean technology or a green technology or a no-touch technology. It is also about the solution of it, which we believe is in modularizing the technology, that we have to provide these facilities in some kind of a modular way. COVID or no COVID, it just makes sense to make all those provisions, but step it up in a building in short steps over a period of 2 years or 3 years or 6 years, that we don't sink a lot of capital costs on it day zero, and we still get enough to the people who are working in the buildings. Like I mentioned, parking stays vacant. We are designing for such high densities. We are providing in our buildings, Anand is involved with them, we are providing 5 basements with 4 basements with stacked parking and that much of parking density. The problem, we are providing VT, I mean, our floor plates are becoming all elevators. I mean, there's a joke inside that we will soon be selling staircases and elevators, and there will be no office floor plates left. The kind of regulations which are coming in. Similarly, with HVAC, with electrical, we are designing for a high density or speculating that there will be a high density, but that is may not happen. So what are we going to do with it? Coming to the closure of it, I think, though I have pointed out or I mentioned Anand and Mr. Dharkar here, it's not just about design engineering. I think there is a lot of things, and because this is ASSOCHAM is involved in this, there is a regulatory issue also here, that though we get a sanction showing stack parking, the regulators should not be asking us. I'm just giving an example so that nobody misunderstands. The regulators should not be asking us to put in 100% of stack parking to get the OC. In today's market, that is kind of ridiculous. And going ahead, COVID or no COVID, these kind of things don't make sense.
Thank you.
So it is regulatory. It is about the design and engineering. It is about how we procure and how we construct. It is also about operational. So all these things I'm putting on board here as the 2 points to sum up my submission today. The problem I am highlighting to the panel and to the viewers is density step up. The solution I'm suggesting is to go modular. The question I'm asking everybody to think about is how we do it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you very much. And it's already, we're touching 8:32, and we have last but not the least, my very adorable friend and Aziz Kuldeep Singhari ji, and perhaps his father and me were contemporary to each other. We started practice together, but unfortunately, my friend late Ajit Singhari ji, expired at a young age with a heart attack. And Kuldeep really struggled through and continued the practice also, and studied architecture from Shoshan School of Architecture. And then through his hard work, dedicated passion, he has now established himself as one of the architects into the real estate in terms of retail, housing, and commercial large campuses. So, I mean, welcome. You already finished more than 300 large projects, master planning, retail, development, residential, commercial. You know, I would say that what is your take on, is sustainable architecture a safe bet for developers in long tenure? What do you feel about quality of workspace and retail environment with adopting energy efficiency and sustainable techniques? So over to Kulmeet. You have such a
Thank you,
large
sir.
experience. You can
Thank you, sir.
always
Thank you for
also.
the introduction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. Whatever words you have given me, I have very high regards for you as a family, as a friend, as a philosopher. Today, sir, what we are looking at sustainability, we should redefine the word sustainability in a different way. We should look at sustainability as a more rational way of using a built environment. That's what I think of this. Today, what sustainability we are taking is a kind of a give and take phenomena. Like, you know, you incentivize a developer for doing a sustainable building. Personally speaking, that incentive should be not alluring to the developer to do a sustainable architecture. For me, every building has to be energy efficient. That has to be a way of life. Discussing COVID, what everybody has been discussing COVID today, my personal take is this is a new normal and we will never get back to a normal situation. Today, I was just listening to another webinar where we understood that Microsoft has decided to, you know, make their 13,500 people work from home till December. So, you know, we have to understand that we are never going to get back to normal. Many people are liking it, enjoying it, feeling it, because, you know, the earlier work-life relationship, what work-life balance people never had, people have started liking it. They are, you know, cutting down on the travel time. That is also, you know, in a, I will say, in a secondary way, helping in sustainability. You are cutting down on the carbon content. Your traffic pollution, everything is cut down with that. So that 1 hour of travel time, what that gentleman was spending to reach down to his office space, he will never like to come back to that zone again. You know, you have put somebody into a comfort zone, which it will be very difficult for the promoters, the company, the promoters of the company to get those people back to a normal life. I personally feel whatever we are trying to give our bit in terms of post-COVID time, we should understand that everything what we do is basically a balanced situation today, sir. I may be slightly incorrect to say that we have slightly given people more comfortable life now. You know, those people may not like to come back to offices, start working, and our major spaces will lie vacant for a very major time. Like what the gentleman from AIPL also said, the challenge is very, very clear. How to get those things into a normal, in a touch-free or a sanitized or a comfort, or take away the fear factor from the people. Today, COVID is more a fear. It is a pandemic, everybody is understood. It is a fear which we are not able to take the time till the time a vaccine comes in, sir. Today, in terms of whatever bit we are doing in our architecture scenario, we should contribute a comfort in the mind of the people where that fear factor slightly goes off. Today, I am into development of retail, housing, luxury housing, mass housing, all type of contributed architecture. We have realized that today people want to spend, rightfully said, some gentlemen out of the forum also said that people are looking for lifestyle product. But sir, all those things can only happen if there is a very distinct categorization of everything. And I think not what I can see, I don't have much time to speak, but whatever we are trying to give back to the people in terms of sustainability, in terms of developer to understand what sustainability he should do, my personal take, he has to formulate a building system where every building has to be sustainable. That has to be a kind of a, you know, a kind of a give back to the society, how he gives good architecture, good product in terms of reducing the capex, reducing the electricity load on the infrastructure, reducing the air conditioning load on the infrastructure, reducing the plumbing load on the infrastructure, that will make the entire city level more sustainable. I think I have made my point clear. Over to you, sir.
Kulmeet ji, I am really, it's wonderful that when I see my, you are like my son, and when I see
Yes.
you growing in such an intelligent manner, and you're doing such fantastic contribution to the profession, to the industry, really I am proud of.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Honored, sir.
Now, I think we are already over time, and now over to Neeraj Arora ji to take over for summing up and announcing other things together. Thank you, all my speakers with folded hands, that with your such an intelligent intensity of thought and vision, where I am afraid that we should have more time, but still, I think everybody has clearly vision out is thought and projected. So I mean, we will really sum up, and my friend Mukul will definitely make a policy onto this. And from ASSOCHAM, Pankaj Dharkar ji and Hiranandani, we see that how we take it further with the government. Thank you, Neeraj ji. Please back to you, Neeraj.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And it was really a wonderful session, I must say, because I can see that still more than 550 delegates are listening to us, and this shows the energy level of our speakers and the topics so selected. Now we have with us architect Mukul Goyal, who does the most hard work for us in all our webinars, because he summarized what we have discussed in last 1.5 hours or so. So this is the most tough job, I must say. So I can't do this. In fact, I must admit this, because speaking is a different aspect, and summarizing the thoughts of others, and mostly the 6 and 7 so eminent speakers, is definitely a difficult job, sir. And you are doing it for all of our webinars. So all credit goes to you. We appreciate your efforts. So we have with us architect Mukul Goyal, principal architect, Mukul Goyal and Associates. He's an alumni of GCA, and after graduating, he took up a job with a famous landscape architect, Mr. N.G. Shastri, in Delhi. In 1995, he joined architecture department MNIT Jaipur, and then he taught for 8 years, but left the job in 2003 and started his own practice. So, Mukulji, now this is your turn to summarize everything, and the most hardest job. Welcome you, sir. Unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you, Neeraj. It was a wonderful evening, and we had an amazing panel out here today, and a variety of thoughts definitely came through. I won't be repeating anything which has already been said, because I'm sure the speakers were very clear about their thoughts. But today's topic defined something very important. I mean, all of us have been talking about sustainable architecture, sustainable and green architecture. But today there were two very, very important keywords. The first keyword was a new mindset, and the second keyword was revival. So today we were not talking about the standard sustainable architecture that we've been talking about throughout the years of our practice and our education. Today we were talking about a new mindset and what we have to look forward to. For example, our dear friend Pankaj Dharkar said very, very clearly that now all of us have to focus on new ideas to retrofit existing buildings and make them more sustainable. I mean, today they're energy guzzlers and we are hardly bothered about it. But like the government slowly phased away the old ambassador cars and then replaced them by more energy efficient cars in their fleet, the same way our old buildings require a new set of machinery inside them. And for that, of course, we have our able set of engineers and their associations to guide us through this. We had Guler Saab, who's into the real estate. He put forward absolutely in a clear way as to which direction the society is heading into, what kind of demand is coming through in real estate, and what kind of trend we all have to look forward to, especially in this. And of course, all of this has to relate to more open spaces and green architecture. We had Mr. Devrajan also, very, very clearly he said, philosophically, the mind has to be kept stable and strong. I think that is the very starting point for everybody, and we all have to be strong enough, and we'll get through with all these social distancing was a word which was mentioned again by architect Anand Sharma, that this new word is actually going to be a guiding factor to the way we design. Dr. Surjit Kumar, I wish he could get more time, but unfortunately we were so stuck up at the end. But he gave us some very, very valuable insights to how livable cities have been judged and the kind of quality of life. And of course, India is an entirely different ball game, because our way of looking at our cities and our livable habitats is absolutely different. So we had architect Sandeep Roy also giving up his views, and he very, very rightly said that density is a problem. And believe me, density is a big problem for us also. We have fights on this very word everywhere, because we don't know where to step up and where to step down. I mean, it totally is based on the economics of the project. And rightly said that modular is the way forward, that yes, now building, and this is now, in fact, you will be surprised, you're talking about residential projects or commercial projects, even hospitality projects are talking about modular formats. They're saying, okay, we'll just build 25 rooms and then 25 and 25 and 25, and that's how we'll go forward. So a lot of industries are now moving into this format because of the phase that all of us have gone through. And last but not the least, Mr. Kulmeet definitely said a very important thing, that we have to redefine this word. This word has been abused, not overused, but it's been abused so much that we need to redefine this word. We need to replace it by words like livable and more comfort-oriented architecture and urban spaces that we have to create for everybody. So that was all about today's seminar. And I thank all the speakers for giving in their views. Over to you, Neeraj.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful summary. This is the toughest job I am again repeating, which you are doing for us. Now we have with us architect Sunil Paul ji. He is the editor-in-chief, Architecture Plus Design magazine. Sunil Paul ji, please say a few words for this webinar and add
Oh, yes.
what Mukul Goyal ji has already done. Yeah, please.
No, architect Mukul Goyal has summed up this entire session so beautifully. In fact, it was a wonderful overall sort of happening, and kudos to Charanjit ji for bringing all the panelists, the distinguished panelists, bringing out the best out of them. Whether talking about sustainability or designing or the specifications that are required and the real estate. So it was a great session. And one thing which I learned is that we are not only in this webinar, but also in the other ones, that there is a combined effort by all to sort of say, remind everybody, remind each other, in fact, that we got to think of nature and then go in flow with nature and design with nature, and not fight nature. Because I think Dr. Sujit Kumar brought it out very well, taking us back to the basics and then trying to really, I mean, we all understand what urbanism is and what our populations are. But in spite of that, I think this is one take that the COVID is actually going to help us in redefining again sustainability, as the panelists are saying. So I am anxiously looking forward to the redefinition of sustainability, in fact, in 2020, what it is going to be. and we do need to rationalize it. And we as a magazine, Architecture Plus Design, I think it's been an honor to have got associated with ASSOCHAM and the Smart Habitat Foundation. And I actually salute you all for the passion in which, with which these webinars have been undertaken, and to the panelists who have contributed very genuinely. And it's amazing seeing this kind of a webinar which gets 1850, I think, and 10 webinars on top of that. A gigantic, this is something, a task which was, I don't think it's possible for anybody and everybody to do it. It's only passion which has sort of led, and everybody combining together in these unprecedented times. So it's been a privilege for us, and it's been learning. It's a learning process which we took up, and I think it's been a very, very knowledgeable session today and the other webinars. Thank you so much, Neeraj.
Thank you, Architect Paul. Now I would like to announce our next two webinars. And friends, we have not only in this webinar, in the next webinar, which is going to be held on 11th July, tomorrow at 11 a.m., we have got more than 9,800 registrations. And I'm sure in the night we will cross 10,000 registrations for this webinar. This is very interesting webinar again, where we are trying to connect industry and education system. We are going to discuss that what are the expectations from the industry and how our education systems are prepared. So please be with us tomorrow also. Tomorrow is a Saturday, 11 a.m. This is a 2.5 hours program, and see how we are going to discuss how we are going to connect industry and education system expectations and preparedness. Next, we have our joint program with the Smart Habitat Foundation, which is on importance of architecture lighting in creating a surreal experience. This is going to be held on Wednesday. I am repeating, it is going to be held on Wednesday, 15th July, 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. So be with us and make a record once again. So next we have a webinar on 22nd, which is on landscape architecture as an expectation, as an extension of the built form and the soul of human settlement. So friends, this is going to be on 22nd.
Can I add just one more thing that, in this importance of architecture lighting in creating surreal experience, we have very eminent personalities coming into this as a lighting experts. Vinayak Diwan is there, Harpreet Singh is there, Shakti Likha is there, Bajatia is there, Vineet Khanna is there. Of course, Pankaj Dharkar will be monitoring this, and we are also trying to have more people from industry, so that lighting architecture is very important. And next, Neeraj ji, you can explain about the next seminar, which is on the soul in architecture through landscaping. Over to Neeraj ji.
Yes, sir. So on 22nd, I mean, this slide is not there, but I can explain you that next program will be on next Wednesday on 22nd of July, which is on landscape architecture as an extension of the built form and the soul of human settlement. So these two webinars are all around architecture lighting and landscape architecture. So please join us and make the records once again. Now I would like to thank you all our dear delegates who are listening to us since last 3 months, I must say, and we appreciate your patience. I can see that still 550 delegates are listening to us. This is a Friday evening and we are feeling hungry at 9 o'clock, but still we are listening to each other. This is a wonderful passion, I must say, and we are thankful to all our speakers across country that they have spared their valuable time to join us in sharing their knowledge and information. I would say that please be in touch and help us in our future endeavors also. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sujit. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Kulmeet, Sandeep ji, Sunit Paul ji, Amit Paul ji, and Pankaj ji, of course, and my friend Mr. Devrajan from Erode. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Shalom. Good night.